Good morning. I take this opportunity to welcome you back to our class once again. Today we are looking at statistics 2, which is our Form 4 topic. Our lesson is lesson 3. Subtopic is standard deviation. Objective is to determine the variance and the standard deviation using the actual mean deviations. So we are going direct to our example. It is in this particular example whereby we are going to achieve this objective of finding standard deviation variance using the actual mean deviations. So the question here says the marks obtained by 50 students were recorded as shown in the table below. We have the row for the marks representing the classes, number of students representing the frequencies. So question number 1 is to determine the actual mean. We are supposed to find the actual mean, and then we get 4 marks. Using the actual mean deviations, we are supposed to find the variance, the standard deviation. Solution. For us to be able to answer this question very well, we must come up with a table of the midpoints, frequency times midpoints, deviations, which is found by taking the values of x, that is the midpoints, minus the actual mean found from A. Then we will find different deviations squared, then frequency times deviations. So this step is very essential for us to be able to answer these 2 questions. Our table here contains 6 columns. I've just elaborated what each letter stands for. So how do we obtain the midpoints? Down here, I've just written midpoint in stats is represented by letter X. So how do we obtain the first midpoint of this class? We take the first digit, which is 0, we add 9. 0 plus 9 gives us 9. Then we divide by 2, we obtain 4.5. So for us to be able to obtain the first part of x is 0 plus 9, then divide by 2, so which is 4.5. That's why I've just written 4.5. How do we obtain the next part of x? We take 10, we add 19. 10 plus 19, 29. Divide by 2, 14.5. That's why I've just written 14.5. How do we get the next value? We go to the next class. 20 plus 29 is 49. Divide by 2, 24.5. That's what I've written. Last time, I showed you on how you can be able to determine the class interval. I said that you can get the difference of these two boundaries, which is 9, you minus 0, you get 9. Then you add 1, you will get class interval. You again come to the second class, you take 19 minus 10, it will give you 9. Then you add 1, you get class interval. Or you take the first value here in the first class, which is 0, then you go to the first digit in the next class, which is 10. You take 10 minus 0, it will give you 10. Direct, that's the class interval. So once you have obtained the first part of x as 4.5, to obtain the next part of x, you can add 10 in our class interval. You can take 4.5, you add 10, you get 14.5, you add 10, you get 24.5, you add 10, you get 34.5. So that's another way of obtaining the midpoints. Frequency is given. So for each particular class, you can be able to see we have the frequencies here. It's just what you record. Next is finding the part of fx. F is frequency, x is the midpoint. It's 4.5 times 6. Using your calculator, it will give you 27. Next, you take 14.5 times 8. It will give you 116. 24.5 times 12, 294, 34.5 times 9, 310.5, 44.5 times 7, 311.5, 54.5 times 5, 272.5, 64.5 times 3, 193.5. That's how we obtain the values of fx. Then once you are done, you find the summation of fx. You add these values, these 7 values, yeah, they are 7, they will give you a total of 1,525. So this is the total value of fx. The first question here wants us to determine the actual mean. Finding the actual mean, this is the formula. The actual mean, which is represented by per x, will be the summation of fx divided by the summation of f. Summation of f is total frequency, which is already given here. Number of students, total frequency, 50. Then the summation of fx, we have already found it here. You just take 1525, you divide by 50. This one will give you 3.5 marks. That is our actual mean. Question number 2 wants us to find the actual mean deviations. I mean, using the actual mean deviations, we are supposed to find the variance and the standard deviations. So for these marks, how do we award that? We will give you 1 mark for coming up with the midpoints. We will give you another 1 mark for obtaining the values of fx together with the correct summation. Then from there, we give you 1 mark for trying to find the mean, and then final answer will be for the correct answer. The final mark will be for the correct answer. So now let's go to the second question, which is variance. But remember, the main word here is using actual mean deviations. To obtain the actual mean deviation, it means you take the midpoint, you subtract the actual mean that you got at point A. Now, you can be able to see, I've already obtained the values of D. How? Taking this x, then we subtract the actual mean. Actual mean is 3.5. So if you take 4.5 minus 3.5, it gives you minus 26. You take 14.5 minus 3.5, it will give you minus 16. 24.5 minus 3.5, it will give you minus 6. That 4.5 minus 3.5, it will give you 4. So that's how you obtain the values of D in that particular column. Now let's square the deviations. So you take minus 26, you square it, you get 676. Minus 16 squared, 256. Minus 6 squared, you get 36. 4 squared, 16. 14 squared, you get 196. 24 squared, you get 576. 34 squared, you get 1156. From there now we take the frequency, we multiply it by the deviation square. So I've taken 6, I've taken this 6, I've multiplied it by 676. So when you multiply these two, you obtain 4056. Next you take 8 times 256, you get 2048. Next you take 12 times 36, which gives you 102. Next is 9 times 16, which gives you 144. 7 times 196, it will give you 1372. Then 5 times 576, it will give you 2880. Then finally 3 times 1156, it will give you 3168. Then you now find the summation of fd squared. You add all these values, they will give you 14,200. So this is what we call total values of frequency times deviation squared. So how do we get the variance? Variance is equal to summation of fd squared, you divide by summation of f. Because we have used actual deviations, this is the formula. We don't add plus summation of fd over summation of f then square. We don't. We only use that when we have used assumed mean deviations. But for the actual mean deviation, this is the formula. Now we will say 14,400, then we divide by total frequency, which is 50. 0 and 0 will cancel out. So using my calculator, I will dial 1440 divided by 5, which gives me 288. So that is my variance. So how do we obtain standard deviation? That's Roman 2. Standard deviation is equal to the square root of variance, which is the same as the square root of 288. So the square root of 288 will give us what? Square root of 288. It gives us 16.97. So that's how we obtain the standard deviation. Standard deviation is given 1 mark. So how do we award these 5 marks for the variance? 1 mark is for obtaining values of d, another one is for obtaining d squares, then another one is for obtaining fd squared. Then another mark is for trying to come up with variance. Then finally, it is for the answer. So I've gone step by step showing you on how you use actual mean deviations to obtain variance and the standard deviation. Next, I will be looking at how to find deciles, quartiles from grouped data. God bless you. Thank you for listening to me. Let us meet next time as you comment and subscribe. Thank you.